Hi. Wanted to talk this week a little bit about what we can foresee in the future for the real estate market. In 2010, the average time that the average person would spend in a home was 10 years. And in 2020, that's gone up to 14 years. So why do we think that is? Well, I think primarily it's because of the interest rates. So if you purchased a home or refinanced your home in the last 3 or 4 years and your interest rates are under 5%, most of them will be the 3 to 4%, then the chances of you moving, you would say, well, yeah, I could get a bigger house, but then my interest rate would be 6 or 7%, and why would I do that? So a lot of people have decided to stay put, and they're just staying in their home longer because their interest rates are so great. And I think a lot of people are on that same boat. If you have a mortgage, you're very much able to take advantage of that low rate and don't really want to give it up. If you don't have a mortgage, then you don't fall into that boat. And those are the people that we're still seeing quite a bit on the Cape with the cash buyers. Are we going to go back to a seasonal real estate market? I think so. I think we saw a direct slowdown over the holidays where the interest rates had gone up. People weren't putting the house on the market because they didn't really want to move and get a higher rate. So when spring rolled around, we're having kind of a slow start, but it's starting to pick up. And now I think a lot of buyers are out in full force again. So we're starting to see the buyers come back. And then because of that, we're seeing more and more people put their houses on so they can buy something else. Are we in a real estate bubble? I don't think so. And that's a consensus of a lot of people. The bubble burst back in 2008-9 because we had really shady loans and we had a faltering economy. And now what we're seeing is we have a robust economy. We have a very, very low unemployment rate. And we have a really good mortgage system so that the mortgages are solid. So nobody is really foreseeing that is a bubble or that it's going to burst because there was a lot of care taken in getting mortgages for people. They weren't giving them away without proof of income and things like that, like they did in the past. Will we see home prices decrease? Probably not in the near future. Over the winter, when the interest rates went up, generally what we would see in the past, not this winter, but what we'd see in the past is interest rates would go up and then housing prices would drop so that buyers were kind of keeping the same price. I could only afford this much. This is, that house now is worth less and my interest is more, so it's all evened out. We're not seeing that this time. The interest rates have gone up, but so have the prices of homes. So that's kind of a deterrent. So as a buyer, if you're especially first-time home buyer, you're jumping into a market that's accelerating and increasing, and you're able to afford less and less. In the last year, single-family home sales have decreased 29%, and they were crazy last year. But with the interest rates going up, fewer and fewer people are selling. So we're seeing that decrease, and also the condos are down 33%, which is significant. And then finally, where are first-time home buyers getting their money from? And what they found is that 83% of it is their savings. So that's a huge number. That's a lot of extra income that first-time home buyers were able to put away and save. They're getting gifted 32% of their down payment, and 12% they're taking out loans against their 401k. So that's a pretty hefty savings, and I think that's a great sign of the robust economy and the great jobs and pay that we're seeing. And finally, just as a reminder, because I remember, but since 1971, the interest rate, the average rate was over 7.5%. It was 7.75% interest rate. So even now at the 5, the 6, the 7%, it's still really low compared to what it has been. I remember our first house, I want to say 16% we paid interest, or 14%. It was really high. So hopefully we won't see those days again for a long time. But, 7.5% is average. So it's just, I think, something that we all have to get used to. When you're used to 3 and 4% and somebody says 7, you kind of, ooh, 7%. But when you start looking and you crunch the numbers and maybe you kind of pull back on what you really, really need, you'll find that it's not horrible to manage. So I'm hoping that first-time home buyers will continue to reach out. We'll see what you can afford. I work with a lot of great mortgage people, have a lot of great options for anybody who needs a mortgage. So keep that in mind. If you're thinking about moving, if you need more space, if you need less space and you're downsizing, I've done quite a bit of that as well. So please feel free to reach out. Have a great week, everybody.